Hey guys, welcome back. If you haven't been here before, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. On Wednesdays is the podcast release, and Fridays we talk about public speaking and different aspects of public speaking. So make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell so that you can get notified every time that I post a video. Now, today we're going to talk about Toastmasters. This is something that comes up a lot when people ask about ways that they can get better at public speaking. And what do I think about Toastmasters? So, Toastmasters to me is a great organization. It's amazing, especially when you're getting started, to be able to get better at public speaking. It's very organized. You have time structure for all of your speeches, and you have different aspects of what you can do within your speech. You can host the meeting, which is kind of like hosting an event. You can do impromptu speaking, also known as table topics within the Toastmaster industry. And you can also do a prepared speech, and then you do evaluation. So you're evaluating those people that did the prepared speeches. So you're getting a lot of actual speaking in, you're getting active listening in, and having to critique somebody in a positive manner, or you should critique in a positive manner, but you're having to find things that you can help them with for them to get better at, by pointing out the fact that maybe they say double clutches, or that they tend to look down, or whatever it is. It could be anything that you talk about. But of course, you want to give them praises about things that they do well, but it helps you because you're getting to look at somebody and see what they're doing well and what they're not doing so well. So you can also go back and apply that for yourself. So it's a great structure because it's about an hour long for each meeting. Most clubs, they'll meet every other week, so twice a month, or they might just literally meet every other week. So when you have 5 weeks in a month, you might meet 3 times. It just depends on the club there, but it's a great frequency there. You get a structure as far as, hey, here's topics you can talk about, and you go through a whole curriculum. It's known as a pathway in Toastmasters, and it's great structure overall because you don't have to do as much thinking. Now, when you're preparing for the speech, yes, you are having to think. You're having to figure out what you're going to talk about related to that topic within the pathway. And that is one of the downsides, I would say, is that it's not very open. You could try and flex some of that stuff and make it kind of work, but for the most part, to me, that felt a little too structured. That was like, hey, you're going to do these things. And for each pathway, unfortunately, it's about the same. Things do change, but for the most part, it's about the same. One other thing, when it comes to public speaking on a stage, until you get to the end of the path, like level 5 within the pathways on Toastmasters, most of the speeches that you do are only 5 to 7 minutes. So that's one thing that I don't like as well, because when you're trying to get on stage and speak, you're not going to speak most likely for 5 to 7 minutes. I have seen that where you speak for 5 minutes or less on stages, but most time, and the stages that you're wanting to get on, they're going to be 30 to 45 minutes or even an hour long. So practicing for 5 to 7 minutes is not going to be beneficial for you if that's your long-term goal. If you're wanting to get better just so you can present in front of a group, where you can do a video on social media, or just to get more comfortable presenting in a general sense, it's perfect because you get up there, you learn how to structure a speech and give a couple of points. You'll introduce yourself, introduce your topic, give the couple of points, and then summarize those points at the end with that conclusion. You get to prepare that way, and it's great for you in that aspect. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, because if everybody tried to do a 30-minute speech, it wouldn't work out. So the structure makes sense as far as from a Toastmasters meeting perspective. And like I said, until you get to some of those level 5 speeches, that's when you might get a 20 or 30-minute speech. But then it really messes up the format for the rest of the evening, and it makes it for a hard meeting for people to be able to get in other speeches. And typically you'll end up doing that speech and maybe one other speech. So that is one downside if you do a longer speech, but it makes sense within the Toastmasters organization. But if you're trying to get better at speaking for longer periods of time and elaborating on those points that you create, unfortunately, Toastmasters is not going to be it for you. but it will get you that great base. And that's the thing to me. It gets you an amazing base for you to start, and then for you to go apply for yourself later on down the road to get on those stages. But it's a great foundation for you. So if you've been thinking about Toastmasters, I would strongly suggest it, especially if you haven't spoken on stage before. But even if you have, I would do that so you can be around other people and be able to learn, because it's a open and positive environment. It's a, if you will, a safe environment where you can go in there and speak. And even if you crash and burn, people aren't going to laugh at you. They're not going to say that you're doing terrible. They're going to lift you up, and they're going to give you some support and praise on the areas that they can, which will probably encourage you, saying, hey, we're proud that you came here and did this. We know not everybody's willing to do this, and you were willing to do this. But it's a amazing environment that's positive and encouraging. And so I would encourage you to check out Toastmasters if you have not. But kind of going back through it real quick for you, there's 3 parts to Toastmasters, or I guess 4. There's other little officer roles, if you will, and meeting roles. To be timely, then you're the host of the meeting. So you get to learn how to run a meeting efficiently and be able to keep people on track, which is like hosting an event, just at a very small scale. Then you have the impromptu or table topics, which is a way for you to be able to get better at speaking off the cuff, to be able to speak without being prepared. That's a very difficult thing to do. But if you can get better at that, it'll help you with your everyday conversations, or during a Q&A of a speech where people ask you a question and you be able to answer back without sounding like an idiot because you're not prepared. And so here you are stumbling over every single word. So it's a great way for you to learn that. And then, of course, you have the prepared speeches, which are great as well, because it helps you get a structure down, helps you be able to stay on time and know what 5 to 7 minutes of the speech is like. And then you have the active listening part, or the evaluations. That's the other part of each meeting. You'll have an evaluation of somebody who did a prepared speech. So you get to help them get better and praise them for the things that they do well, but you also get to learn from them and what they did, because you have to reflect on what it is that they did and really pay attention. You have to pay attention to their hand gestures, if they're moving around the room, if they have vocal variety, if they are putting pauses into their speech. You have to look for all of those things. Or are they staying monotone the whole time? Basically, you have to make sure that they're actually doing and applying good public speaking practices. So Toastmasters is an amazing organization. There's probably one in your area, so make sure to check it out. The first meeting is free for you to check out, and you can go to multiple clubs. And once you're a member of one club, you're welcome to go to other clubs and visit those clubs. Now, you're not guaranteed to get a spot to be able to speak at those clubs unless you call ahead of time, but you're able to go to the other clubs and check them out. And maybe you'll need to fill in a slot. Maybe they have an opening that they need filled, because sometimes that does happen last minute. People can't go. It's a voluntary organization at the end of the day. So sometimes people get tied up and they can't go, and you might be able to get that spot and help them out. But at your home base, at your home club, you'll be able to get in there and get those speeches and help you get that practice in that comfortable, safe, encouraging environment. So I challenge you to go check out Toastmasters. It's an amazing organization. There are some things that could be better, but at the same time, you really can't change some of them. Like I said, with the longer speeches to help with you being on stage, you can't change that unless if you're going to have a 2-hour meeting, which a lot of people don't have that time, because these are often during the day or they're after work as well. It just depends on which club that you're at. So make sure to go to toastmasters.org to figure out what club is in your area or what clubs are in your area, and go check them out. I recommend checking them all out first and figure out one that you resonate with, because there's going to be different people and different types of people at each club. So go check them all out. It's free to join, or not free to join. It's free to come in at those clubs to visit. Now, it's very cheap to join. And that's another thing. I'm glad I just thought about that. But it's very cheap to join. It's like $100 for the year. This is the cheapest form of training and education you can get, especially when it comes to public speaking. You're not going to find a coach for that cheap. You're not going to find a digital course for that cheap. The only thing close to that is going to be YouTube, which is going to be your cheapest route. But then you're having to search and find the right person like myself that's speaking about all these things. And are you going to learn it effectively? Really, the most effective way to learn is by doing, learning some stuff, learning some practices, techniques, and then going and applying it. So that's where Toastmasters can come in. You can watch my YouTube channel and you go to Toastmasters and apply the things that I teach you here. But I would strongly recommend and encourage you to go check out Toastmasters. But with that, guys, make sure that you leave a comment, like, and subscribe to my channel here. I want to make sure that I can continue to grow this channel. Right now, I want to push to get 100 subscribers here so I can get a custom YouTube URL and be able to hit that first milestone there of 100 followers, 100 subscribers. So please help me out. Share this if you got any value from this, and have a healthy and blessed day.